Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending upon where you're joining us from. And welcome to the CommerceBytes June edition. First, let me do away with the housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, and by continuing to be on this webinar, you are consenting to be recorded. So today, we are going to start off with the brief introductions, and I'm going to tell you what CommerceBytes is. And then we have got a very special speaker from Sitecore, who is going to talk to us about Ordercloud, and he's going to give us the platform overview. There's an opportunity, it's a great opportunity to ask questions during the webinar. So there's a Q&A box on your screens. So feel free to type in your questions, and we have time allocated for those questions towards the end of this webinar. My name is Saurabh, and I'm the founder of Assurex, an engineering agency specializing in Sitecore and Sitecore Commerce. Together with my colleague Sandeep Pote, we started CommerceBytes. And we are being joined by Rekha Sharma, who is going to help us organize the future version of CommerceBytes. So CommerceBytes is a virtual meetup. We plan to meet on the last Thursday of every month, but this day is kind of flexible depending upon the availability of the speakers. And we learn about the commerce platforms. There are talks by the industry leaders and experts who discuss the latest trends, what is happening in the commerce world. If you are interested in speaking, feel free to reach out to us at info@assurex.co. So what have we got today? So today we have got a very special speaker from Sitecore, Jake Hookom. He is the Vice President of Commerce and Analytics. He used to be the Chief Product Officer at Four51, and now he's recently joined Sitecore as a Vice President of Commerce and Analytics. He's going to talk about Ordercloud today. He's going to talk about his feature, his architecture, and the business use cases it supports. So I'm really excited about this session. And just a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to type in. And now let me step back and hand it over to Jake. Over to you, Jake.
Thank you much. Very happy to be here today. And, we are new to the Sitecore family. And so any opportunity like this to share a little bit about Ordercloud, and also what I'm really looking forward to talking to you all today about is where Ordercloud fits into the future Sitecore architecture. So hopefully, even if you've taken a look at Ordercloud before, you've maybe had years of experience with Sitecore. My hope is out of the talk today, you learn something new and you at least know where we're going with our technology. So first off, why Ordercloud? So why did Sitecore pick up Ordercloud? Ordercloud is a very distinct approach, or very different approach to commerce than what Sitecore had previously done with Experience Commerce. Overall, it's a API first, it's headless, and it was built initially for B2B use cases. But as I'll talk through, it handles many other use cases under that umbrella. From an architectural standpoint, Ordercloud has a ton of capabilities, but a lot of times when we talk to customers, they're approaching it from the standpoint of a build versus buy. They're looking at, hey, I want to go to the cloud. I want to adopt microservices. I want to adopt this API first notion. They get it. Why would I pick something like Ordercloud as my backbone in that? And I want to highlight here before I kind of kick things off in terms of what I call the integrity and overall the performance and the capability from a DevOps perspective that this platform has. We did over 50 public releases in 2020 while retaining, a 5 nines uptime. We've got GDPR compliant. We've got HIPAA security compliant, HIPAA security controls in place, along with PCI compliance. We support multi-tenant environments. So groups that are used to developing across a QA, sandbox, staging, production environments, a release process around that. Those environments are available. That's part of, again, our tech stack was born out of a very strong DevOps practice, to the point that as part of joining Sitecore and we look at global expansion of our platform, we can stand up a whole new instance of Ordercloud in a new region globally in about 7 minutes. That's the integrity of our platform and how well it was constructed. At the same time, as we go further, again, from a technology maturity perspective and the way people can use our platform, our headless platform, everything is API first, meaning you can automate configuration of all new environments, things like webhooks, integrations, data. Everything is available for automation in this new ecosystem of composable commerce. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, what makes us different. And I'm going to start with a journey. And, Sitecore does offer different solutions in the market, just like other technology platforms that are out there. And a lot of people start with the journey, and a lot of the customers that we interact with start with the journey of, hey, I just need a website. There's multiple drivers for getting a website up and running in terms of limiting disruption of your current customer base, meaning, hey, I need to get online, I need to get a website up and running, I need to get my products online, you need to start transacting. But then what ends up happening is as your business gets more complex, you start to maybe include different CRM technology. Again, this composable notion that Sitecore overall is adopting, that there's other solutions in the mix. Maybe it might be your order management system, your ERP systems. You might have other suppliers in the mix. It forces you from a technology perspective to adopt APIs. And those first two columns are really where the market's at, where Ordercloud, plays, is this headless commerce platform, this API first platform. And there are options out in the market around that. Now, where Ordercloud starts to go further is the two columns on the right in terms of our ability to support, and I'll go into more detail about that, is ability to support more complex e-commerce use cases than you would find in other platforms. Allowing you to say, I went from a website, I started adopting APIs. It's opening up new opportunities for me to grow my commerce business or reach other channels. Ordercloud plays in that. And then at the same time, due to that API first notion in the last column, is the fact that I've been able to consolidate everything, all my different markets, might it be B2C, B2B, B2B2C, and marketplaces, being able to stand up actual true marketplace technology and e-commerce platforms on Ordercloud. You can manage all of that centrally on one platform with one set of controls with Ordercloud. So this is a quote from Gartner, and really when you look at Sitecore's broader strategy, and we're going to be launching this more diligence this summer, is Sitecore's made a bunch of acquisitions. So we've got the all-in-one, the XM, XP, XC combination that Sitecore has had in the market for many years. With these acquisitions of Four51 or Ordercloud, as we're talking about here today, technology like Moosend for email automation, campaign management, remarketing, revenue recovery, and then strong CDP capabilities like Boxever. All these different assets coming together help us create, composable commerce or composable DXP. And Gartner research back in 2020 talked about this in terms of, application leaders responsible for digital commerce should prepare for a composable approach to packaging using packaged business capabilities. So what this means is for you to succeed and for you to stay competitive in the market in terms of your own digital strategy, you need to be able to have optionality in picking best of breed technology. From a Sitecore perspective, they are gathering those assets to fill those best of breed capabilities. But I want to go a step further. That best of breed composable story creates a lot of agility out in the market for you and the ability to change over time. But as you look at each one of those packaged business capabilities, you also want to carry that notion of agility, not just an agility of picking vendors or specific stacks, but agility within that stack you ultimately pick. And again, this is where Ordercloud brings a more compelling story into the market in terms of that headless e-commerce as being the backbone for your next project or for your own e-commerce initiatives from a customer perspective. So when you look across the market and you look at a lot of the common e-commerce platforms, they were built around B2C notions. So you have a seller, you have a catalog, you've got pricing. Things are very basic. I can manage my users over here. and they might have been a SaaS tech stack that's now offering APIs. There's abundance of those options in the market for you to take a look at. But why Sitecore picked Ordercloud is everything else on this slide. Again, it was born on this B2B first notion. So Ordercloud, and this is really important from a SaaS and picking, again, the composable story, the package. You want to pick your backbone of commerce that has the most Lego building blocks that most align to where you are today and where you need to go. So Ordercloud goes a step further and says, at its heart, in the core, we support the notion of multiple buyers. Our catalog engine supports offering multiple prices. So you could be a B2B customer. You could say, I've got thousands of buyers, and each buyer's got maybe hundreds of users underneath it. Ordercloud, from a SaaS and API perspective, can model that and support that notion of crafting those different headless experiences in the market. At the same time, one of the biggest differences with Ordercloud is it brings this notion of multi-supplier as a first-class citizen. And as I'm going to go through some examples here shortly, you talk about crafting a marketplace. So let's say I'm doing a true marketplace notion is that I'm offering, taking multiple suppliers and offering a mixed set of products into the market. You can obviously support that. The other thing that we've seen in the market that makes our platform a differentiator is even in the B2C retail space. Maybe 90% of the product, or maybe today 100% of the product that they offer in the market for B2C is from their own warehousing and from their own stores. But they want to incorporate the notion and bring other suppliers into the e-commerce experience. Ordercloud can manage that. Ordercloud can take and say, okay, everything that comes from your stores is coming from this supplier. Everything that maybe comes from this other third-party supplier, all could be managed and coordinated through this. I think we've all done e-commerce projects before where you might pick up an API, you might pick up a platform, and you're trying to manage maybe nuances on okay, how do I maybe define a custom catalog for this set of users, or maybe apply different logic for this other set of buyers, or custom logic in the back end, and the platform doesn't have the right building blocks. That's where things go sideways. And as I'll continue to talk through and all the different scenarios Ordercloud can do, it can not only handle the B2C as shown here, and in the examples I'm going to go through, but it can handle a plethora of other e-commerce scenarios that, granted, you might not need today, but as you grow and you look at growing your business, you can continue to expand into other markets, all on the same platform and the same connectivity. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples here. So here's one of a global cosmetics manufacturer. It's 4,000 salons worldwide. It's handling basically the salons buying product. The backbone of it was an SAP. So it was a robust SAP implementation. Ordercloud came in over top, managed all of the salon buying experience with a kind of a B2C type front end. But one of the benefits of this is that you can put all your product and all your product data in it. You can manage all your inventory within the platform and that custom experience that they did for their stores. They can also take that on the same platform and set up and point it to a B2C scenario. So all your e-commerce digital operations on one platform, one organizational setup on Ordercloud, you can handle your B2B buying scenario, again, employees or salons or franchises ordering, and also on that same platform, handle order flows and order transaction flows and data sets through other B2C channels on the same organization. That's the power of Ordercloud. Another aspect I'll go in more detail here on the notion of multi-supplier is you can take these building blocks and use them for different things. So in this case here, we did a franchise marketplace. So you had a franchise that stood up an online marketplace for all their different brands and all their different retail stores to order across over 100 different suppliers. So Ordercloud not only takes care of what products are available to different brands, what pricing, what users can access what products, and features and capabilities from a commerce perspective, but also it takes care of the supplier interactions. So not only buyer users in a coordination from a headless API perspective, but also users that are suppliers in that full end-to-end e-commerce experience. So suppliers can go in and they can access the Ordercloud platform and even directly automate through the APIs and coordinating that end-to-end order management across a marketplace. Here's a little, I know this is an eye chart, and on a previous slide, there's a lot more on ordercloud.io, and we'll spend some time on Q&A at the end. But from an Ordercloud perspective, this kind of highlights this notion that when I talk about end-to-end fulfillment, Ordercloud isn't just a headless API platform for the front end, for that buyer shopper experience. It also handles the notion of, hey, I've got a buyer order. That buyer order might have 5 different lines on it that all came from maybe 3 or 4 different suppliers. So Ordercloud can take that and provide a simplified buyer order experience, like a B2C experience. Think Amazon. But ultimately, each one of those lines, each one of those products are fulfilled by a different supplier. Ordercloud manages that. So it can take that order, and when it's submitted in our platform, we can take that order and split it up into multiple orders on the back end for the supplier or the seller to update. And Ordercloud will take care of that reconciliation, that management of all those different supplier updates and rolling that back up to the buyer. Again, think Amazon. Again, you order off of Amazon from different buyers or different suppliers or different manufacturers. And Amazon will feed those updates on fulfillment across your order. So you have that unified view as a buyer, and on the back end, Ordercloud will manage all those distinct order transactions on the back end around fulfillment. So again, hope you see that Ordercloud isn't just a headless e-commerce front end platform. It is really an end-to-end, a much more robust commerce platform. And that's really what drew Sitecore to acquiring Ordercloud and bringing it as part of their future composable story. It also provides a lot of opportunity, again, to partners and developer networks to provide, from a headless perspective, not only that buyer experience, but again, from the headless notion, now you can start to bring in stories and workflow optimizations for different supplier personas, for different admin type roles. Again, all on top of one platform, providing different, front-end buyer experiences. The playground, again, the Lego bricks to build a much broader commerce strategy exists on Ordercloud. Let's touch a little bit about developer experience. And then after that, I'll jump into where things fit in the Sitecore ecosystem and the strategy here. So from a developer experience perspective, because we're a headless technology stack, we do provide, you kind of might ask, like, where's the UI? And the way we approach that is that on GitHub, we offer a free starter. So and that starter is called Head Start. So it not only has, like we have here, is an admin buyer backend. Suppliers can also log into that backend and just see their stuff, just see their products that they're managing, just see their orders that they're managing. But an admin can also log into this backend and look at everything, again, that end-to-end fulfillment coordination with buyers and supplier management, all in one view. So again, Head Start's got the backend, and again, this is available on GitHub for you to take, deploy. Again, it's backed by the Ordercloud platform from a headless perspective, but this is a front end you can start from. And again, everything I talked about, from coordinating a simplified buyer view, a very B2C basic buyer view, but then managing and coordinating all that is across multiple supplier marketplace notions on the back end. We've got it very simplified as part of Head Start, this buyer experience. So it feels B2C. All these products might come from different suppliers. All their data might come from different areas. Ordercloud can quarterback all of that for you. And Head Start's really that starter that's freely available for you to take and modify. And what we're already seeing with partners in the Sitecore ecosystem, they're creating their own verticals, either creating their own Head Starts or using Head Start and tweaking or modifying it to create a new base, a new capability, or extending it in different ways. So it's an exciting time as we've been joining Sitecore here. The other thing too, I get more technical, I showed you some slides previously that had a lot of, like, what are those Lego blocks, those building blocks that can coordinate e-commerce. Here's an overview of the APIs that are available. So if you want to go a little more detail, you might pick out different things on the screen, but that are kind of like, well, can it support this or can it support that? Because we're a headless API first platform, again, I touched on earlier this notion that it's not only the crafting the buyer experience and users for the buyer experience, we support a much more robust permission model to say, on that platform, from an API perspective, I can have and manage permissions for buyers, again, the shopping experience. I can bring supplier and supplier users into that and managing the whole fulfillment process and product management process. And of course, I have the ability from a seller standpoint to manage admin users or admin roles in that. The other thing to call out here is that our platform also supports this notion of user impersonation. So if you've ever done enterprise e-commerce and you've got customer service or other op roles, you might have business users or salespeople operating in one platform. We essentially support user impersonation, where you can have an employee basically log into or interact with Ordercloud impersonating another buyer. So one of the advantages of our platform and having that user impersonation, that robust security model, is being able to basically represent or act through the system as another user, which really streamlines support type roles. Again, if you've done enterprise commerce and worked in complex organizations building these experiences, user impersonation is actually really important. From a product and product catalog perspective, one of the stories from Four51 is it's a 20-year-old company. Ordercloud, was our established newest headless platform, but the company is rooted really in the print industry, where everything is custom products, defining different like layouts and specs and variants, different text, being able to create custom products as a primary workflow. So not only, again, you got to go from the basic B2C notion, but there's this dawning of this new kind of market concept in terms of personalized products. I think they're calling it C to M, or consumer to manufacturer. Because of our B2B base and their heritage of Four51, and ultimately like the capabilities have gone into Ordercloud, we support the ability to define products that are highly customized. You might ask the buyer to fill out or pick different options, and almost like configuring maybe a car. We can support these kinds of workflows around product and the buying experience from an API perspective. Again, also because of our B2B notion, the relationship of different buyers, buyer and user groups, you can also go to market on our platform saying, hey, I've got 1,000 different buyers or different accounts, and their pricing is different for each buyer. Their catalog setup is different for each buyer. We can also support that on this platform. But the cool thing is, when you look at that top row, that DXP APIs, we've got me and my stuff. And again, I recommend you go check out ordercloud.io. I'll keep plugging that throughout the call, because it does do kind of walkthroughs and getting started guides. There's API documentation out there, but the me and my stuff, I threw those different building block diagrams up, but when you're crafting the buyer experience, a front-end experience, The me and my stuff APIs, or some companies and some companies call them experience APIs. These are a simplified set of APIs that says no matter what the complexity is of your e-commerce experience, if I'm a B2B buyer, I'm a B2C buyer, or I'm a supplier operating over the system, these simplified APIs, the me and my stuff API set, Ordercloud will automatically take care of saying, okay, if I query products or search for products, or I look up orders, or I look up shipments, I look up cost centers, addresses, these APIs, and again, it's one API, again, no matter the e-commerce scenario, it'll take care of delivering the right data to you, the right pricing, the right products that you should have visibility to, all through a simplified API. So again, takeaway from here in this slide is that, again, all those different building blocks and APIs that you have availability to you, that B2B complex custom product configuration heritage that comes through in the API set that we offer, but at the same time, that simplified experience APIs, the me and my stuff, that no matter that complexity, very basic APIs in the front end to work with. How simple is that? So from a developer experience perspective, we have things here, not only ordercloud.io, but we have SDKs in JavaScript and C#. So our heritage is in C#, much like the Sitecore ecosystem. But I would note that we are heavily invested in JavaScript in the Node ecosystem. And I'm going to be releasing some pretty cool stuff on that front to open up our stack and open up to the developer community even further in the JavaScript and Node world. As I referred to earlier, we've got Head Start as kind of a starter backend admin and buyer experience that you can start to craft your commerce experience around. We also have Catalyst. I'm going to skip on Catalyst today, but Catalyst is kind of, how do I customize? How do I extend Ordercloud and apply create my own API endpoints or create my own custom integrations? But for all the things I talked about, again, from complexity perspective, that little box in the corner from a code is all you need to be able to, create an order from scratch, search and find a product and add a product to a list and submit the order. So again, Ordercloud can support a great deal of complexity. It was born out of the B2B enterprise world, but from a developer experience, this is pretty simple. And again, this is an example of JavaScript that I'll get to later in terms of the Sitecore architecture and that ecosystem that we'll be getting to. So let's talk architecture. So I apologize for the simplicity of this diagram here, but I think it's important because I know existing customers, partners, MVPs in the Sitecore ecosystem are kind of asking, what about the existing, Sitecore platform and where are we going with composables? That's what I'm going to focus on here today. So here is the existing, Sitecore stack that many customers have adopted. And what that is within that all-in-one, it's an all-in-one kind of a monolithic deployment. It has a lot of benefit from the standpoint that customers are looking for a solution where everything is connected, everything is deployed as one unit, managed as one unit. And also the architecture under the cover, when I render that web page and when I deliver that experience, everything is connected on the back end and ingrained and tied in the back end to ultimately deliver that. So XC really sits as an engine in that ecosystem, in kind of that monolithic deployment, that package deployment, that all-in-one deployment, to bring commerce into that front-end delivery, and then the pages are rendered and delivered ultimately to the browser. And that's where you get the tie-ins with XP platform, XDB, XM from a business user perspective. It's all one platform delivered through essentially one render engine on the server side in this stack, and then that page is ultimately delivered to the client. And that works, again, very well for a ton of customers, and we're continuing to see high growth and investment in that area. For other customers, though, and other parts of the market that ultimately Sitecore is also working to support, is through these acquisitions. So, one aspect of from a content delivery, content management perspective is things are evolving around the XM product. That is the heart. I like to use a metaphor of we all have to skate to the puck. And for Sitecore, the puck is content management and crafting content experiences. So the XM product over time and with technology like Experience Edge that they've been talking about, this is brand new technology, very modern architectures. You might have heard about Jamstack. It's a new way, and it's going to be the lifeline in terms of as our technology evolves within Sitecore, that core that customers enjoy, and it's what we're known for in the market around content management, content development, that's going to continue to grow, and that technology is going to mature. But that's delivering content templates. And then we have things like Boxever and Ordercloud, and I don't have Moose in on this diagram, but Boxever does personalization, and you can do everything like very similar to what you can do with XP today. Boxever is doing that essentially from a headless API SaaS position. So if you want personalization, you can pick that up as a capability, and that ultimately plugs in at the client side. Same thing with Ordercloud. I showed you a snippet of JavaScript. You can actually integrate with those APIs from the client side in crafting that experience. Now, essentially the big takeaway I want you to have here, as opposed to the previous slide, we were still doing that coordination here in terms of crafting that experience, but that was all happening in the guts of that all-in-one platform. It's happening within XP, XM. In this new architecture going that we're standing up in parallel to the all-in-one with these new acquisitions, and where Ordercloud fits in is that you can say, hey, I'm going to start on the left. I am going to craft experiences. I'm going to start building my website. I want to add in personalization to that, and I can do that with Boxever. And then I want to add in Ordercloud, and I can add that over the top. That coordination is still happening, but that is happening instead of like within that all-in-one deployment. That is happening at the edge or at the client side, and that's really where web architecture is going. Twitter, Amazon, Google, everybody's adopting this architecture, and Sitecore's composable stack is there to support it. What we're doing from a roadmap, though, internally, is that we've got to check the boxes of things that you expect to work out of the box. So if I start in this journey and I say, okay, I might start crafting pages, I pick up Ordercloud, and I start transacting, I start to build my e-commerce experience for Ordercloud. But I want to add in personalization with Boxever, or I want to add in remarketing or abandoned cart or remarketing and revenue recovery capabilities with Mooseend. What are the things you'd expect to work out of the box? Well, some of the things are, I expect all my customers to be there. I expect all my order data to be there. I expect all the telemetry data about what people are clicking on, et cetera. And that's what Sitecore is focused on in our roadmap of connecting those components. So again, it's a different architecture, from the all-in-one. It doesn't work necessarily for everybody, but this is Sitecore responding to the need for these newer scalable architectures, these cloud-hosted platforms. And ultimately, this gets you up and running, much more quickly and creates a lot more optionality for Sitecore. Again, you can get up and running, start crafting a site. You don't have to deploy all of this, like in the all-in-one. You can pick up one of these verticals and then again, stack in or decorate these other verticals, these other capabilities in the composable stack. Well, again, we talked about composable and what Gartner's report, it's kind of a best in breed packaged product. We're going one step further and saying, well, if you pick within the Sitecore stack, that data and that visibility, how you quarterback across those systems, will work out of the box. So one of the great videos, and that's available on YouTube, that I recommend everybody take a look at, that goes in much deeper in terms of the all-in-one architecture and then the composable architecture, what that journey is. There's a much better talk on that that's available online from SUGCON that was given, I think, 2-3 weeks ago. And this is a slide actually lifted from that presentation that talks about that future state. So again, you see the consistency around Sitecore with Content Hub, the XM products, those anchoring capabilities in the Sitecore portfolio. And then you see Boxever decorating over top from a CDP perspective, and Ordercloud coming in over top to be able to offer commerce experiences across those different channels. So this is, a more technical slide from an architecture perspective, but you want a deeper dive on that, and you want to see some folks walk through that in more detail. There's a video available on YouTube from SUGCON. So talk about a little bit what's next and why I'm so excited. So Ordercloud, the reality is one piece of the puzzle. When we talk about that Gartner analysis in terms of composable commerce, or as Sitecore refers to as the composable DXP or composable digital experience. And I've highlighted the areas in teal that Ordercloud brings into the picture. But then you've got content management, digital asset management, content operations, marketing automation, personalization and testing, like A/B testing capabilities. You'd be able to check all the boxes across the composable portfolio from a headless and a SaaS position with what Sitecore is standing up with these acquisitions like Ordercloud. Again, Ordercloud's one piece of that. And some of the capabilities that we'll be marketing are not only Ordercloud alone, but what happens when you combine Ordercloud with Boxever? What happens when you combine Ordercloud with Content Hub? What happens when you combine Ordercloud with Moosend, where you can start to do automated abandoned cart and product suggestion emails? What kind of growth can that springboard for you when those products are connected within the Sitecore portfolio? So I'm really, really excited. I think Ordercloud joining the Sitecore family, we bring, again, a ton of flexibility from a commerce perspective across the spectrum of B2B, B2C, B2B2C, and marketplaces. Defining your own construct of e-commerce can all be done on the can all be done on Ordercloud, but with these other personalization capabilities, content management, marketing automation within the Sitecore portfolio, our value proposition and our capability for partners and customers to build upon is very, very bright going forward. So where to go next? Please take a look at ordercloud.io. One of the cool things is that you don't need a credit card or anything. You can just go and set up an ordercloud.io account. And start playing around in the sandbox and start developing immediately. We have a strong GitHub presence out there where we've got projects to be like seeding projects to be able to stand up and populate one of those organization prototypes. We've got Head Start out there. We have a Next.js if you're interested in that technology. So if you want to go full JavaScript or TypeScript to develop a custom e-commerce experience, those are some of the things that we have out there on GitHub and we have highlighted on ordercloud.io. And then as usual, if you've got questions, and I'll answer questions here on the call today, we'll have time. But we also have stood up channels within the Sitecore community Slack. So that's sitecorechat.slack.com. You can join, and it's cool. We're already seeing developers and Sitecore's MVPs participate in those conversations, which has been awesome. And especially like here today, we're seeing great presence from our partners, rolling up their sleeves, contributing to this new ecosystem around commerce and helping build the future of Sitecore. Thank you. With that, we can open up for any questions. Try to open the question panel. Okay, so I'm taking a look at the questions that we have here. We want to implement integrations like with InRiver, Salesforce. Must we implement our own middleware to add those there? The answer is yes. You know, we are seeing partners stand up connectors in this front. We're probably going to take the tact of publishing them on GitHub, and you can deploy them on your own. One of the unique things that we've taken with Ordercloud, though, so you might say, hey, I want this to work out of the box, or you should already have a pre-built plugin, but I referred to a project earlier called Catalyst. And one of the cool things about Catalyst is that it's a framework so you can deploy your own serverless functions, but it's got a stack that allows you to put in your own attributes, handle security, handle identity automatically. It makes what otherwise would be maybe 30 lines of code down to 5 to stand up extension points to Ordercloud. So it's something we feel is kind of distinct in the way we've managed that ecosystem. But take a look at Catalyst. There's examples out there also. So questions on Head Start. So Head Start actually has 3 components on it. There's the admin UI, which also supports like the suppliers logging in and self-servicing management of orders and product information. It has a buyer front end. And it also has middleware. So custom APIs, and again, all built on the Catalyst stack, where maybe a behavior of one of our APIs doesn't fit your need, or you want to apply other filters on top or other security on top, you can do that with that middleware. And again, it's backed by the Catalyst project. Are there any pre-built connectors available to partners? You have a list of those anywhere? That's really an ecosystem that we're working to build. A lot of our customers historically, and like even like that big global beauty company that we did that B2B implementation on top of SAP. We've taken the notion of if you've seen one ERP integration, you've seen one ERP integration. So we've been really focusing on the tooling to stand up your own APIs, your own serverless functions, versus writing a bunch of code to try to fit one specific connector. Again, Catalyst question on Catalyst again for middleware. Catalyst would be that library that makes development of middleware or customizations much easier. That's everything we had in the online QA. Any other questions that folks have?
I've got a question which we have got offline. How the feature is look like for XC, combining this with Ordercloud. How does that going to pan out? Like, are you going to replicate XC in the near term? I'm not sure whether you can answer that question now, but that's a question that has been asked so many times.
Yeah. As I presented, the architecture is very different. So it's an important decision for new projects, saying, and candidly, when we talk with customers, they either they want headless or they don't. And so XC, I'll be very clear on this, is XC, XP, XM. We're continuing to devote engineering to it. We will continue to release as part of that roadmap. There is abundance of features in that stack. And we do still have a strong pipeline of new customers coming in on XC, the XP, and XM. Or they're on XM and XP and adding XC. And we'd still recommend that. That is that all-in-one stack. That's that all-in-one capability there. Now, new deals or new customers that are interested in the composable, they're coming to Sitecore saying, what's your composable offering? Ordercloud is that system. But again, the architecture is different enough that that you almost need to start your project up front with this notion of, client-side composability. Instead of XP, you might look at Boxever to solve that. So again, there's a distinct line between, the all-in-one, that architecture you design for that architecture versus this composable SaaS architecture. Now, the gray area in between that I think a lot of people are asking about, there is opportunity to fill that gray area. Now, in filling that gray area, what we have seen is some customers where they might have an XM implementation or might be adopting Edge technology, their Jamstack. And then you take Ordercloud, and Ordercloud has those JavaScript APIs on the client side that you can deliver that static website or that content at the edge, and then use Ordercloud's APIs to apply that dynamic commerce, cart management, orders, etc. But again, that's moving that architecture from what you see in the all-in-one stack, and then pushing that coordination more to the client side. Again, it's a very different architecture. We've seen customers and partners are starting to adopt it, again, in that gray area. But if you're really looking for that composable and you want to adopt composable now and looking into the future over the next years, I would recommend jumping on the new stacks if you're looking, saying, hey, it's really valuable to my business users to have that one backend, that one install, that one stack rooted in the XP XDB offering. That all-in-one will continue to be invested in. There's no end of life on it. It's we serve a global market, and that is still a very strong position for us in many markets.
That's really cool. That was a pressing question, that's been asked so many times in the past as well. So the message is like, is going to be complementary to each other, and the clients who are on XC can continue to use that, and they can still implement the features of 451 integrated into it. And going forward, like as they start maturing that architecture, they can, completely go SaaS. So that's a good point. Like, that's been kind of asked many times. So it's good to get an answer to that.
I think one of the cool things about the Sitecore community, and when we first joined, I spent a lot of time talking with partners, our MVPs, candidly asking them, what do you want? Like, what do you expect us to do? And if you were in our shoes, how would you do things? And we have, again, that solid all-in-one offering, that architecture that's there, where XC, XP, XM all work in conjunction. They're saying, I want headless SaaS, and I want all these acquisitions to connect. And so that's our focus. So our focus is like, instead of maybe connecting back into XP with Ordercloud directly, from our own engineering side, we're focusing on making sure that composable story is fully connected as soon as possible. And that's our focus right now.
That's really awesome. And then, the community has got a role to play as well. And that's the beauty of Sitecore. Everybody, has got their suggestions taken into, and then, the platform is built accordingly.
Yeah. Most of my best interactions have been, and I'm on the community Slack too, listening to folks and candidly asking for feedback on, because all of you have different experiences. I've worked on different projects, different customers. That kind of feedback I always welcome.
That's really awesome. And that's, cool, man. I think, we are done with the questions, but if anyone has got any questions later on, they can always reach out to us over link, with the social, or like you mentioned on the Slack, you are there on the Slack as well. So they can reach out to you over there if they have any questions. Thank you very much, Jake, for taking time out for this. It's really, really insightful, and I personally really enjoyed this session. And we are doing like Sitecore Commerce since a long time, and we are really looking forward to it, how that's going to shape up, and how the things, the opportunities are going to come in later on. So we are really excited about that. Thank you again. So guys, if you're interested in watching the past edition of the CommerceBytes, you can head to our YouTube channel. There's a QR code on your screens, which will take you to that channel, and you can look at the videos over there. And I'm yet to release the video for the last edition, like May edition. We'll do that together in the coming week. So both the videos will be available on this YouTube channel. With this, we come to an end of our June edition. And again, Jake, thank you very much for taking time out. And thanks to all the attendees who have attended this session. If you have any questions and if you need any support with anything, please reach out to us on the coordinate listed on your screens. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the July edition. Thank you very much. You have a good day, good evening, and good night. See you on the other side in July. Take care.